Hello everyone, this is Alex the Blue Man, and once again, welcome back to my MCU-a-thon. For today, I'm going to be talking about the 15th film into the franchise, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or just Guardians 2 for short. Obviously, this is a sequel to the 2014 Guardians movie, so this one was one of my most anticipated movies of the year 2017. I believe I put this movie at the number 8 spot on my top 10 favorites of that year. But enough with all that. So did this film fly higher or lower than the original? Let's figure it out. And if you hear any noise in the background, that's just the drying machine again. And as with the previous 14 videos, this will contain some spoilers, so don't watch this video if you haven't seen the movie yet. With that said, this movie continues Star-Lord's personal journey, like who his father is and what species is he. All the while they're hunted by Gold People and Ravagers. Basically, there's 2 1/4 worth of story in this film. Let me say this, the main story where Peter meets his father, whose name is Ego, it is a dark and crazy arc, especially on Ego's true intentions shown later in the film. Then there's the side story involving Rocket Raccoon and Yondu. Those two, you can finally see where they came from and why they are what they are. So, props to this movie for their character development. Another thing I like is the transition of Nebula. Here she starts off as a villain and bully, then she slowly becomes an ally, especially the moments between her and Gamora. So I think it's safe to say they made up for what happened in the past. With that said, easily my most favorite moment was when Rocket and Yondu did their own version of the shooting star meme. They space jump from planet to planet with their faces becoming stretched and distorted, which is very reminiscent to the Groundberry scene from The Good Dinosaur. All I can say about this is that all I can think about is shooting stars whenever it pops on. For the negatives I have for this movie, I have only one. And 2, but I'm only going to talk about one. And it's that there are up to 3 villains in this film, which are Ego, Yellow Diamond, and I'm gonna call her that, and the usurping Ravager named Taserface. Ego I'll save for later. As for Yellow Diamond, she is mostly pointless here, except for the beginning. And at times, over the top. Almost every time she is on screen, I'm like, please someone blow her to smithereens. For Taserface, this movie just succeeds in making Lee greatly dislike this guy and what he does. And it was really satisfying when Yondu made his arrow flame on onto the ship's gas tank, with him in front of it. And it made me go, serves you right, you jerk. As for the characters themselves, let's look at Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord. This movie continues his personal arc. As hinted in the original, how his whole father arc wrapped up was messed up and sad at the same time, because as Yondu stated, he may be his father, but he ain't his dad. And my goodness, that has to be one of the most iconic lines at this point. Rocket becomes more of a secondary character. At the start, he's still a jerk, but then we later learn why he is, which is later becoming understandable. Drax, I feel, is at his worst here, and that's my second negative I have. Because he is basically reduced to an inappropriate buffoon. Even Baby Groot gets ticked at him at the beginning. For Baby Groot himself, I will say that he is very adorable, like a kitty cat or a puppy. For Gamora and Nebula, their arc I also enjoyed, going from hating each other to making up, like finally seeing the meaning of sisterhood. That has a major role to play in some of the later films. As for Yondu, he's another good part of this movie, and how he ended up was saddening. In fact, I'm sure it saddened everyone who saw this movie. There's a new character named Mantis. To be honest, I also find her adorable, and it makes me saddened when Drax calls her ugly or do mean things to her without her knowing, and I was like, Drax, you jerk! All that counts for exaggeration there. And now for Ego, he is a living planet who can somehow make a humanoid projection of himself. I don't know how that's possible though. He is just a madman out of loneliness, and after what he said to Star-Lord is when he turns into a monster who wants to make every planet he touches into him. which is very scary. Now, as a whole, while it's not as good as the original, it is a worthy successor. There will be some things in the movie that people don't like, but other things people can like or find darker meaning in. And in the end, it makes me wonder what's next for the Guardians themselves. Also, I will say this film has not 1 or 2 or 3, but 5 mid-credit scenes, 2 of which is where that's the case. With all that said, I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 an 8.5 out of 10. Oh, finally. Now that's pretty much all of the MCU movies that I have out of the way. As I said, I will save Spider-Man Homecoming for when Far From Home comes out. Same with Into the Spider-Verse, which I didn't see last year. So join me this Friday for my long overdue review for Avengers 4 Endgame. Think of this as my calm before the storm. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down your thoughts on this movie, and as usual, I hope you all have a great Blurific day.